Time to repot a bunch of my nicest plants, propagate some, and answer all your questions. Hello friends, it is time to repot a ton of plants, and I'm not doing all of them today, probably, because I've been having headaches, but this one really needs it, so I'm just starting this video a little bit early and unprepared. This one is so dark that with this light you can't even see it properly. Maybe this way. This is my blackjack, which is a beautiful anthurium with a ton of leaves. I love it a lot. And it is currently pollinated, so it's making selfed seeds, hopefully. But I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna take the little stake out so it's more clear. This is how it's sitting in the pot. Can you see? Oh, it's not as bad. But it definitely feels like on one side of the stem the roots have rotted. It's a little bit hard to show you. Maybe this is better. So it's not as bad anymore. It does not want to focus. Here's my face. Focus on my face. Yes. It feels like at least the roots on this side have died or something. So we are going to try and repot it. Also, maybe try and pot it a little bit deeper in the pot, because this is a lot of aerial roots are growing, but they are not getting anywhere near the soil before they dry out. So let's do it together. Let's see the bottom of the pot. You see a few mushy roots there. So that's fits our expectation. Hey friends, voiceover Rose here. At this part of the video, I forgot to answer questions. So my voiceover answer, Nelsie, my parents are doing great. They are living in the new house that they built after the fire, and it is going really well. The garden is now almost finally finished. The grass is growing, so it's finally feeling like a home. Trying to pull it out, but it's not really moving. I'm a little bit afraid to break the stem. Come on, buddy. Yeah. So a lot of soil is, you can't see, but a lot of soil is staying in the pot, meaning there were no happy roots in there. Let's see. I did just do my nails and they might get ruined from this, but that's okay. Actually, I should show you before they're ruined. I did pink with little stickers and stuff. Stickers my boyfriend brought from Japan. And then this one is also something he brought from Japan. It's a little rose, but it's 3D. And it's just on there with some top coat. So I am questioning if it will be on by the end of this video. I'm taking the top moss dressing off so I can reuse that. If you don't know, sphagnum moss is really good at the top of anthurium pots, but it is a finite resource. So it's better if you keep using it as long as you can. Maybe I should make some stem cuttings because the stem is getting so long, but only if there's enough roots at the top for it to be happy, continue growing. And I don't know what went wrong with this one because the weather has been really good. Maybe the soil is too compact. That's an issue I've been having with my regular soil mix, where I use 1/3 perlite, 1/3 bark, and 1/3 soil. I switched now with my anthurium to a really chunky mix, tree fern fiber, instead of soil. Because I noticed that this was getting really compact, and as you can see, there's a lot of dead roots. I don't know if you can see. I thought this plant had already moved into the good soil, but apparently not. Because most of my anthurium I have already moved into it. This is definitely a sign to check the rest of them as well, because a lot of dead roots. We have a very long stem that you can't see, but it's all the way to down here. And then it gets thicker and thicker with my happy situation. But there's not a lot of roots at the top, so I don't know if I might chop part of it off, but not all of it. And then we can plant it a little bit deeper so that it can grow into the fresh soil. Not great. Let's chop the stem first so that I can then fix the roots. I want to keep the seeds happy, so it's a bit tricky to decide where to chop it. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Oh, the seeds are stuck in the tripod. Whoop! And then I smacked them against something else. Okay, this is really dark. How about that? So as you can see here, the stem looks really nice, but The roots here are very, very small. The roots don't start until here. And most of those are rotted anyway. So I can't chop it like here, where I would normally maybe want to chop it. But I can cut this part off. Let's do that. Let's just not think about it. Normally I would sterilize my shears, but I can't currently find my alcohol. Several people asked about my current situation, my health, my concussion, and I'm happy to say that the paid partner of this video, BetterHelp, is helping me to answer this question. When I first fell and hit my head at the garden center, I never expected that I would still be struggling with the symptoms more than 5 years later. And the healing process itself has been hard, but with that, it's also been challenging for my mental health. Sometimes things don't go as we planned or thought or hoped, and life always brings changes. Ooh. Plant incoming! Here's a sneak peek of what we did. With a long-lasting illness or injury, acceptance of the situation is really hard, but also really important. I've worked on that with therapists and also worked on grieving what I've lost. My ability to do a lot of stuff, to have the energy that I used to have, to not have headaches, all that kind of stuff. I actually just started with a new headache specialist who is offering some very different treatments. So there is still hope of improvement, although it has been really hard work. It is a constant balance of hope of what is still possible and acceptance of what is now, over and over and over again. So if you're in that situation, I'm sending you such a big hug. I know how hard it can be. For me, therapy is a time to reflect on myself and my life, to become aware of how I'm feeling, how things are going. As an ADHD girly, it is very easy to hop from thought to thought and distraction to distraction, especially with our screens, social media. So that time with my therapist to actually be in the moment, to become aware of what is going on in myself, in my life, my feelings, my emotions, is really helpful. A therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from a new perspective. They can give you advice and techniques to make positive improvements in your life. BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video, which I'm super grateful for, and they are on a mission to make starting therapy easier. Fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist as soon as possible. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost if it is not the right fit. I actually just did that myself as well on the platform because my therapist didn't have time slots available when I had time to do therapy, so I just switched to a new one. Super easy. And she is lovely as well. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/yogaandplant for 10% off your first month of therapy. Now back to repotting. So now we have a bottom plant that we will look at in a second, and I can adjust the light. And the top plant is this. You can see the fresh cut. I'm gonna remove all the dead roots. There's always a neighbor working on their house here. Just after we finished, someone else will start. Okay. Now we're gonna find a pot. It's not many roots, so we're not getting a super big pot. This is the base plant that also has a lot of rotted roots. The rest of the video might be filmed outside on my regular repotting station on the hot tub, but not today. The sun is too bright. It hurts my eyes and my brain. Can you see all the thin lines? Those are the dead roots. The outer filament has rotted off. The official root is the thin thing inside, but it's only alive when there is the filament outside. I'll fix this in a second. I want to throw away this soil. I just got an alarm. I forgot I have to go to the physiotherapist. So that's not ideal, but I guess it means the cut can dry out for an hour or so while I'm away. And then when I come back, we're gonna pot it up either, I think in this pot, because it's a little bit taller. And with Anthurium, especially this one, the leaves are hanging down quite a bit. So taller is handier. But any clear pot with lots of holes on the side, I like. And yeah, the cuts can dry out a little bit longer, so there's less risk of infection, I guess. I still need to remove all the dead roots on this one, but I have to go now, so I will be back in a little bit.
2 hours later.
I came home from the physio and then potted up the plant and watered it without filming. I am so sorry. So it is now potted. Oh, you can't see anything! In the tall pot I was mentioning. I can't show you because there's leaves on all different sides on this one. Maybe I should cut one older one off. Maybe this side. Look at that beautiful shiny leaf. At least we're now in better light so you can see the plant a little bit better. But this is the pot. The soil is really chunky, so I'm leaving a little bit of water right now in the bottom so that it can soak that up. I did put the moss back around the base of the stem. Hopefully that will make the roots grow a little bit better, the top roots, because this currently does not have that many roots. Look at that beautiful leaves. The older ones are struggling with some scale, so that's not ideal. And like I said, they're hanging very low as well. But I'm just gonna put it on the corner of the table and hope that it will recover. I haven't potted up the base plant yet, so we can do that together. I'm gonna have to get a different pot because this is a little bit too big for this specific plant, especially with root rot. But in general, I do like to give my anthurium quite big pots. Like if I see it being slightly root bound, I size them up quickly. Currently, I am going through all the roots and breaking off the ones that feel rotted, which I've done a few times now, but I keep finding new ones. So here's another one. It's just not ideal. Super thin and squishy. And then hopefully, usually for me, base plants grow much quicker than the top cutting because they have the most roots, as long as these don't all rot and die. And the mixture that I'm using for them is this. It's very dusty right now, but it is, can you see that? Pieces of bark, big pieces of pumice, smaller pieces of pumice. I brought 2 pots out. Why is my camera so low? So you can see the repotting. These are little plastic cups that I made holes in myself. And I think that's the right size because it's kind of squishy in there. For this one, it would be a little bit too much squish. And also the roots are quite long, so a little bit deeper is better. Maybe, perhaps I should practice my British accent, which currently sounds quite ridiculous because I have not used it in a long time. If you don't know, if you're not aware, it's immediately making me choose different phrases and words. In Dutch schools, they teach the British English accent and also sounds horrible, also the British English writing, which is why you will see me writing colour with a U in it and stuff like that. I used to have a proper British English accent, as my dad is an English teacher, if you don't know. And then I travelled the world when I was 20, and it completely messed up my accent. A little layer of substrate at the bottom, and then we'll put the plant in. I try to rotate it until the top of the stem is quite level with the soil so that it does not stick out too much. And then we will just fill it up with soil. All right, I gave you a slightly different angle so you can see better what I am up to. I love using a different pot to move the soil as it protects my nails and also makes it a little bit easier to aim with the new soil. A little bit less messy, if you will. All right, maybe a little bit more. Is anyone getting frustrated yet with my amazing British accent? Because I am. But it is part of the fun, maybe. How I am training my brain to be able to do a British accent again at some point, properly. I used to study in the UK, if you don't know.
And with that, hi Amy. I actually graduated in 2011, so thank you so much. I have a master's in development and human rights from the University of Swansea in Wales. It was amazing.
Clearly, my American accent is quite lazy and also does not challenge me to use more difficult words and phrases. Phrases. What do we think? How about that? How about that? My nails still look okay too. Oh my god, the accent is despicable, but the plant seems to be okay. If this is getting very frustrating to you, I do apologize. I am quite enjoying myself at the moment. I am going to water this plant with some rainwater and fertilizer that I have ready here, since I have just watered all the plants in my house. And I can already see some of the nodes on this plant starting to activate, which was super low. Oh wait, I have to switch off the focus again. Which was super low in the soil before. So I think this is a good thing to do. Also, this is a stunning plant, so perhaps I am able to sell this one once it starts growing and have some money, because that is currently lacking quite a bit. All right, let me find an outer pot for this. Yes, I am going to continue a little bit longer. It won't be the whole video, I assume, because this is going to get tiring very fast. 1 second. All right, all my pots. I love the color of this one, but I think it's a little bit too big. We also have a coffee one, which apparently is supposed to smell like coffee grounds. It currently smells like dirt. Dirt, because I had that in it. Why am I smelling these? That's not necessary. I think this one is perfect. We can try one size smaller, perhaps. Nope. That is perfect. So we will use the white one. Then I will water it to get all the dust away. And since this is such a chunky soil mix, like I said before, will leave a layer of water at the bottom for a little while, so that the very dry soil can take up, wait, there we go, can take up a little bit more moisture. And then I will make sure the roots are not underwater, so it's only a small, it is only a small layer of water, not too high, or it will rot the roots more. But I think it's good for now. I might put this one in a terrarium, or in a box. I do have a prop box up here that has some space. Wait, let me show you one plant. Let's see if I can continue the accent even when I am very excited. I have a box up here where I have my alocasia, and in it I put one of those stems that had not rooted or grown a leaf in a long time. It was my Anthurium regale that I have just moved into its own box because, wait, 1 second. You're going to see my belly as I go up to take the plant down. Look at this one! This plant is in the same soil mix, so very chunky. The stem was very long, but there were 0 roots. The stem was very long, but there were no roots on it. And then I noticed it was starting to grow again from the top. Ooh, this top part is actually pretty rotted. It is very... Adjust the light. This is very squishy, so that is not good. Look, I can take pieces off. I am going to take a little piece of, to see which parts I can take off, removing the rot. I was not planning to do this, so this is kind of good. So this is rather good, but it grew, and it grew this leaf. Isn't it adorable? It's stunning. The first regale leaf I have seen in a long time, and it is still in one piece, even though there are some pests on it. Some aphids that I'm currently killing. Doesn't it sound rather pleasant when you speak in a British accent while you are killing bugs? Interesting. Do we have any roots on this guy yet? I don't see any, which is troublesome. Perhaps I should create a little bit more air around the stem, I have a lot of moss on this one. No roots yet on it, which is not great. I'm popping some moss back, but not as compact as it was before. Hopefully, this plant will start to grow some roots, because no roots is no good. But I wanted to show you this because it is adorable, and I am planning, actually am gonna do it now, just pop this one in the box with the regale. Also for humidity, that's good for the regale. Ooh, water is dripping down. Close the lid. All right, so that is the plant that we are doing today. Perhaps I will find another one that I will repot, but this is it for now. When you see me next, I will likely not be speaking in this very annoying accent, and more importantly, I will start answering your questions, which you kindly have sent in on my Instagram and on my YouTube community tab, which apparently now is called posts. So thank you so much, and let's get to it. Hello friends, we are outside now, and I am a little bit more organized this time. We have plants to repot, I have soil and pots and a repotting mat, and I have all of your questions printed out so I can actually answer these in person. The plant we are starting with outside here is this lovely anthurium, Queen Anthurium warocqueanum, that, as you can see, is sizing up really nicely. I have it in a tall, like, plastic cup with holes in it, and roots are growing out the bottom. And then it was inside this beautiful piece of clay. This is just a cappuccino cup that I use for plants sometimes. It's a little bit windy, so I hope you can hear me. So this is gonna go in a bigger pot, because one of the tips I always give for anthurium is to size up the pot once they are root bound, to size them up quickly, because that can help to increase the leaf size. So the pot I am thinking, we have a few options here. This one is shorter, so not that one.
Psst, Rose, check the roots first.
It's mostly wider, but not so much deeper. We can do one of these, maybe. That's a lot wider though. Oh, maybe we can do just a bigger coffee cup with holes. I have a few holes, I think. Or I can make holes in them. That can work. Or we can go for this nice one, I guess. It might seem like a big size up, but I think we're gonna go for that, because it is summer and it has nice holes in it on all the sides. I'm not 100% sure. It is a big increase in size. Let me just double check if I want to go for a cup, maybe. No. I don't know. What would you do? By the time you watch this, I have decided already. Let's check out the roots first. So we're gonna unpot it, and then we'll decide.
Finally, that took a long while for you to realize. Wait, am I dissing myself now on the voiceover? What is happening?
Let's see if we can keep that root happy as we pull it out. Ah, nope. Unfortunately not. Whoa! The original stem cutting has rotted, but I do see that this mix is the nice mix that I started using, the better mix, with big pieces of pumice and stuff. So we're gonna reuse that. So seeing the amount of roots we have here, I think this one is perfect, because we don't want to put too many. I'll get the new... Ooh, the soil is very chunky that I'm using. And very dusty. And while I put this up, let's do our first question. Someone asks how I got my cats, Mickey and Maggie. And we actually got them from Marktplaats, which is a local website here. I didn't work yet at the animal shelter, because after we got them, I started volunteering at a local animal shelter. And I kind of am sad that we didn't get them from the shelter, but it was before I was aware of how many amazing cats there are at shelters, and even kittens, if you prefer kittens, because we wanted kittens. They have those as well, plenty of them, that are really sweet and happy cats. There is a idea that cats from a shelter can be a little bit traumatized, and that's not always the case. There's actually a lot of just lovely cats and kittens in the shelters. So I'm a little bit sad about that, but of course I would never trade in my babies. And they are brother and sister. Someone else asked that. There were a few questions about the cats. Wait, let me check them. So this is potted up. We will need a tall pot because the leaves are gonna hang because it's a queen. But So far so good. I think I have a pot for that. And yes, they are litter mates. Someone asked that. They are brother and sister and they got along really well as kittens. So that's why we got them together. It's always, in my opinion, better to get two cats so that they can entertain each other and play with each other, and also it's for you less tiring, but also for them it's more fun. And then someone asked, are they not interested in your plants? Mine wants to climb in my big monstera pot. I have to be careful because they eat grass like leaves. So my cats don't really bother my plants unless they look like grass, because they do eat grass a lot. And that's actually mostly an issue in the garden where we have all these spiky plants that my boyfriend loves, the palm trees and stuff, because those leaves are really hard. And Maggie has some issues where she tries to throw up and then the plant actually damages a little bit her throat. So she has some blood in it. We've been to the vet with that for her several times. So in general, my cats don't harm my plants, except for sometimes they've climbed into a moss pole, but they don't do that anymore now. Anyway, they're 10 now, so they're kind of senior cats. So that helps that they're a little bit older. And also they've never bitten into my plants. I often get the question like, how do you have toxic plants when you have cats? My cats never bite my plants. And also our aeroids are mostly, they're not, how did, my friend Brandon I think did a video about this.
Are your houseplants killing your pets? Probably not. There's a big misconception about the level of toxicity in most houseplants. Most people don't really understand the difference between toxic and poisonous. Toxic plants aren't necessarily bad. Typically the worst toxic plants will do is cause gastrointestinal irritation, so throwing up, burning mouth, diarrhea. A poisonous plant is going to have a higher concentration of the chemicals that will actually shut down your pet's bodily functions.
Plants like lily flowers are poisonous. They can kill your cat really quickly. But plants like our plants, our aeroids, are mildly toxic, so they will get a stomach ache if they eat too much of it. My mom has had this issue when her cat was still small. She moved the plants out of the space where the cat was until he got a little bit older and got used to it a little bit better. And there's tricks how you can protect the bottom of the pot, but I've never had to do that, so maybe other creators have better advice for that. Someone asked how to treat anthurium fungal issues, or how to support an anthurium and fungal issues. I haven't had many issues with this. The only thing I did have was on this beautiful queen, my bigger queen, on a moss pole. This one had some issues because I noticed some kind of round spots on the leaves, and I figured it might be that fungus that, what is it called? Powdery mildew. So what I decided to do is, you can see the white still on it. Wait, okay, I had it on the wrong setting so it wouldn't focus on the leaf, but you can see the white. I sprayed this plant with a sulfur spray, which is supposed to help with fungal issues. So I just sprayed the whole plant, and now we're waiting to see if it's coming back, but I don't see anything yet. So that would be my tip, but I don't have much experience with it, so I'm not sure if I'm the right person to ask. I hope that helps. And then we have Jay, who asks, what is my favorite philodendron right now? And I thought I'd bring it out for you because this is my philodendron Ilsamani, which I've showed you before, and it had green leaves. Oh, windy. Had green leaves for a long time, and it's finally growing these nice variegated leaves. But we're also gonna do something with it because, remember when I did the last repots? Ooh, it's very wobbly. I showed you how I put this on a moss pole, and it has done really well. It's rooted into the moss pole a lot, and I had to put a second piece on top of it, but it's becoming super wobbly here. So we are going to cut it and then make sure that this is at soil level so it's not so wobbly anymore. I'm a little bit scared because I've been told by my friends who've grown this plant that it can be quite hard to propagate, but because it has roots already in the moss pole, as well as some of the aerial roots that I guided down into the pot. Oh, wind. I hope you can hear me. I am hopeful that it's gonna be okay, but we're gonna do this together, and I am a little bit scared. I have learned from my previous mistakes, so we are sterilizing the shears with some pure alcohol. Luckily, I'm currently not wearing any nail polish, otherwise it would be ruined. I had long nails for a really long time, and I was actually interested to see if I would ruin them with this repotting situation. But a few days ago, we went surfing, and I could not get my wetsuit on with the longer nails. So I just cut them with one leg in my wetsuit, one leg out. I went to the bathroom, I cut all my nails off. They're super short and stumpy now, but that is definitely a lot better for repotting to have the short clean nails, and now we have a short clean cutter thingy. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay, so the moss pole is still dripping wet, which is not ideal, but we're gonna cut it probably right under these roots here, because then we can still pop this into the future pot, right? So here. Ah! I did it. I did it! But now, I did not think this through very well, because now we have to kind of unpot and separate the plants so that we can repot it lower into the pot. I definitely did not think this through enough. But ah well, that's life of an ADHDer. You need some more light, don't you? So, this way should be better. I found this quite... Can you hear my neighbors screaming? They're playing bowl games on the street outside. I might reuse this pot for it. Someone asked, what is the worst plant advice you've been given or have seen? And to me, it's any advice that's super sure of themselves and excluding any other options. Because, for example, if you follow the advice of my friend Sean in Indonesia, that will not work when you're in the Netherlands. Or if you follow my advice and you're in the tropics, that's also not gonna work. So you always have to take into account your region, your climate, and all that stuff. And sometimes people give advice like, this is what you should have done. And I'm like, well, maybe that doesn't work for me. Like, many people love to propagate in moss. For me, moss sucks. I cannot keep it moist, I cannot keep it happy because I am not so organized. So to me, any advice that is very rigid is not great. And then someone asked for tips on abutilon, which is a plant that my mom loves, so I know the name, but I have not been able to grow it successfully myself. And I asked my mom for advice, and her tip was to love her, and it will be fine. So that is not very helpful, I'm really sorry. Oh, my mom is more of a feelings type care person than practical tip. Sorry, I can't help with the abutilon, but I'm sure other creators on YouTube will have created cool content about that. Okay, so this is the base plant. We have 3 leaves and a bunch of roots. Looks good. We can try and grow that out again and see what happens. And then this is the top plant. Still quite a lot of green leaves as well. At some point I'm hoping to maybe chop that part off as well and then restart the whole thing higher up. But for now we have this and all the roots that can go into the pot. So this is really nice. I'm gonna take this thing out because I wanted to push it further through the moss pole, but I can see there's roots here that we don't want to damage. So I'm gonna take it out and leave it out. This is gonna go in a pot. I don't know how yet. Maybe in that same pot. Should we pot them up together? No, I'm gonna keep this separate and see if I can maybe sell that at some point. I think the roots will fit in here. It's a little bit tight, but if we place them a certain way, I think it can work. Is the audio? Yes, still working. I have to make sure that I'm still recording everything. Okay, all the roots in. If you want a tip for this plant, my tip is definitely to route old aerial roots into the pot because they will root and it will help the plant to be happy. I am reusing the soil here, mainly because I currently don't have a ready pot of this soil mix. I have my anthurium mix and some smaller plants mix, but not the chunky one that I use for most philodendron. And it still feels really chunky. There's lots of pieces of bark in here and perlite, so I think it will be okay. Just making sure the moss pole is balanced. And the good thing about this right now is that the moss pole is now touching the soil, so all the roots that are growing in here that are on the way down will be able to continue to grow into the soil. So I'm happy with that. I might pop this one in to help the moss pole stay balanced. If we can get in there, yes. You did not see that, but I stuck the bamboo stake in and I'm gonna wrap the, whatever this is called, around it. Plant Velcro. There we go. I used that to keep the plant onto the moss pole, but now we're also using it to connect the moss pole to the bamboo stake just to give it a little bit more balance. This is what it looks like now. I'm definitely happy with the improvement because, yeah, I think it's definitely gonna help. I don't know if the roots are visible, but there is a lot of them growing down into the moss pole. Even here, there's a few. So I think this is good. Ilsamani. And I love that new leaf. It is stunning. Maybe this should be our thumbnail. Can you hear my neighbor kids screaming? For this base plant, it has a lot of roots, so we're gonna find a bigger pot, not a see-through one, because I think it's gonna be okay if it's not see-through on this. And by the way, if you don't know, this philodendron is not like other variegated plants. It has the variegation inherently in it, so it's not like when it's all green, it's never gonna be variegated again and you have to cut it back and find like the variegation on the stem. You can't even see it actually on the stem because it's all woody. But yeah, this is different from most of our variegated plants, and that's why it's very interesting to me. It's not ideal, but I found my boyfriend's bucket of mix. He's been repotting a bunch of plants as well, getting more and more into them. Actually, there were quite a few questions. Wait, can you even hear me? I'm gonna add some bark to it. Okay. That's dusty. There were quite a few questions about my boyfriend and also some comments saying, why do you only say my boyfriend? Which I explained in the renovation video that I just posted, and I introduced him. His name is Geert, or his friends call him G, but I never call him Geert or G because I call him all the nicknames that I have for him, like Poebietje and all the other weird random things that come into my brain. So to me it feels more natural to say my boyfriend, but from now on I'm gonna try and say my boyfriend Geert, so that you know he has a name. And he also has a YouTube channel if you're interested in how to build surfboards and see our surf trips and stuff. There were a few questions about him. I would love to... Jessie said, I'm so nosy and would love to hear how you and your boyfriend met and your life together since. So we met as lifeguards working together. I'm gonna put some soil in, wait. Maybe this should be up here. Oh, I think he heard us talking about him because here he is. I'm just telling them how we met and stuff. Yeah, so that's him, Geert. And he's gonna cook us dinner, so that's perfect. While I finish this. We met as lifeguards and we didn't get together very quickly. We were just colleagues and friends. And I did notice, because I was kind of in charge of our post. We worked on one of the Dutch islands where you live on the post, the lifeguard post for the summer. Wow, this is very barky, but I hope it's gonna be okay. So we lived together and worked together and partied together a lot. A lot of the lifeguards would go out at night and party. And I noticed, even though he was one of the youngest ones, because I am 8 years older than him if you don't know, he was 19 when we first met. That sounds really wrong now. We didn't get together then. I noticed that he was one of the youngest ones and he was always the most responsible one. So he was up early always to set up all of our stuff, together with one guy that was like 45, like the old person in the group at that time. He didn't drink alcohol. He went partying with us and was fun, but he didn't drink and he just felt very responsible. Also, he was beautiful, of course. He's a very fit boy. He's a fit lad. Wait, did I speak English for a long period of time there? I'm so sorry about that. I'm just remembering that I did that. British English, I mean. We became friends. And then we started hanging out more and more. And I was like, I might be in love with this boy. And then he ended up liking me too. Pretty quickly after we officially got together, which was January 2013, I moved here in April to his town to see, because there's a beach here and I love living near the beach. And it went so well that after about, I think 6 months, he said, I think we should live together. So we moved in together. Then we bought a house in 2015, this house, and it's been going really well, I think. Ooh, he's taking his shirt off for us. It's going better and better.
Anyway, back to the plants.
Anyway, back to the plants. Okay. I'm back with the next plant. This is my philodendron Jose Buono, which is very wobbly. As you can see, it's wobbling all over the place. So this one is very easy. We're just gonna give it a stake and hope it stays a little bit more upright and has enough support from that. You can't see what I'm doing. Just sticking it in. A little bamboo stake There you go. And I still had some leftover plant Velcro from another plant. Do you repot your plants in winter? And that depends. I try not to. Look at that nice leaf, by the way. I try not to because my climate is not great for that. But if a plant really, really needs it, then I will do it in winter. I just try and save stuff for spring or even summer, like now, because it's a little bit safer. If it's necessary, just do it. Jules asks, what is a plant you would never buy, even if it's free? This is not that plant, but I'm getting our next project, which is my Monstera aurea. There's a few plants I would never buy, like Calathea, because they've broken my heart one too many times, and plants that are poisonous to animals, so I try to avoid Aglaonema and lilies. This is, by the way, our new project, Monstera aurea, which is, look at that root, looking really good, but it's very root bound. And this pot is also very small for 3 Monstera cuttings, especially now that the third one has started growing. So we're gonna try and remove the pot and give it a much bigger pot, I think. And I might even try and turn the last cutting around because it is growing. Can you see how it's growing away from the moss pole a lot? I can't really show you. Maybe this side. There you go. So this is really far away. Let go. See the bottom full of roots. Oh, 3 minutes left. Shit. Wait, I should switch the card then.
11 minutes later.
Okay, I have reset my card. We're gonna continue to try and get this out. Yeah, there we go. This is definitely too small. This might still be too small because it's gonna continue growing this summer. Let's see. Tali asks, are you happy with your plant collection at the moment? And the answer is yes. I am so happy with my plant collection that sometimes it's not so fun anymore to go to plant shops and botanical gardens because I have created a collection here that is just everything that I love. And in other places it's never all the things that I love, and also I've collected some quite rare things over the years, so I'm a little bit spoiled right now. And then they also ask, what are your tips when you kind of feel overwhelmed? I really like your restyling video with the large plants. My plants are getting bigger and I think I want to and have to try and maintain more and acquire less for the next time. Yeah, I feel that a lot. When the plants get bigger, I do get picky with which ones I want to keep in my house and which ones I don't. So I'm not afraid to get rid of plants. Also, I noticed that sometimes I try and keep plants alive that are not doing great. By the way, I'm trying to wrestle the roots loose so that we can potentially switch this one cutting around on the moss pole. We'll see how that goes. So yes, I know the overwhelm feeling very well. My first tip is to make sure you are the priority. Your mental health is more important, and your physical health, than the plants. Because this is why I like plants. They're amazing to take care of and to have and to grow. But if you don't have the energy, you could easily ignore them. And they either thrive sometimes, which is kind of mean, or they die back and you can either bring them back later when you do have energy again, or you get a new one. So it's much less responsibility than, for example, a kid or a pet, because you can't just let them die. We would never do that. But with plants, I'm giving you the permission. You can let them die if you need the mental space or if you don't have the capacity right now. It's okay. So that's my main tip. I'm also doing this myself quite strictly. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'll sell plants. I'll put them in the greenhouse, the ones that I don't really like, because sometimes they die in the greenhouse and sometimes they survive, but it's kind of... There we go. I wanted to do this to make sure that this plant grows up the moss pole properly. So now we can do that. I'm gonna plant it low on it, I think, so that this little root is still in the soil. And it's gonna be a little bit awkward in the pot for a little while, but I think it's gonna be okay after. Like this, kinda. That's why. Maybe it's easier to let a cutting start to grow first and then pot it up on a moss pole so you know that it's aiming the right way. I guessed wrong in this case. Does this fit on this pot? No, we're gonna give it a bigger pot. I'm gonna get a bigger pot and some soil mix and then answer some more questions. Okay, let's see. We have this one, which is not as tall, but a little bit wider. I think we're gonna go even bigger because I know Monstera roots. You'll see we're gonna do my mint next, and that has a ton of roots. I'm using the plant Velcro to make sure the loose plant is kind of attached to the moss pole. So I kind of tied it up. That's a temporary situation. Our roots can go in here. Gonna use the same mix that I just made with lots of bark in it, because when it's a big pot, the expensive ingredients like the big pumice are, I tried to save them for my harder to grow plants. I feel like this is a pretty easy one. I am gonna reuse what we threw out because that does have some pumice bits in. Okay. That's a big size increase, as you can see, but I think it's worth it. Right, that was actually not as hard as I thought, as I was afraid of. So this can continue growing. Hopefully it doesn't get too distressed from my ripping the roots apart a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm just sad it cannot be in this beautiful pot anymore. This is a piece of clay pot. Once again, all my pretty pots are either Elho or piece of clay, not sponsored. The label and the questions. I keep forgetting the questions. I'm gonna put this back inside and switch it for the last plant that we're doing today. I just remembered that there were quite a few more plants that we needed to repot. My boyfriend's plants, and he's bringing out a big one as well. So you're not rid of me yet. Oh, how is this all gonna fit? Because the one he's bringing is a big one.
You got 3 ankles.
Yes. My bum was the first thing to go. Put it here, please. And show it off for a second. Ta-da-da-da. This way. Into the shade. Yes, so this is our big Strelitzia. No, what is it? Zebrina. Alocasia zebrina that needs potting up better. And you want to separate them as well.
Yeah.
But why?
Kan ik klein ook gaan proberen.
Boyfriend wants me to, Geert wants me to remove the smaller plant from this pot because he says it's gonna grow better in a separate pot, even though it's growing really well right now. So I don't know if I agree. And I want to pot this one up a little bit lower. There's actually a lot of little babies growing here, little corms that are not able to fully grow because they're not in the soil, underneath the soil. Let's see, the roots actually look really nice. Grace asks, or Grace with Nature, I don't know if that's their name or just the name of their channel. I would love to know more about your professional yoga practice. Thanks for the opportunity to be a little bit nosy. I love that. Of course, I love getting questions and answering questions because I never know what to say, what is interesting to people. So I started yoga when I was 15. My parents were doing it and saying we're all gonna go as a family, and of course I was 15. Oh, dinner is almost ready. Of course I was 15, so I said I don't like yoga, I'm not interested, and I'm opening the roots up and I'm feeling a lot of rotted roots in the bulb, so if you hear something falling, that's that. But they told me you cannot say you don't like it until you've tried it. I went with my little brothers as well, and it was actually kind of like a program for youth, for kids and teenagers, so it was a lot more interesting than just a yoga class like adults would do it. And it was so much fun that I actually begged my parents if I could go to the teenage week that they had afterwards, a special week for us, and they already knew about it and they really wanted me to go, but they never told me. And then I had to beg them and like say like I can pay the money back, or I can work for it because it's quite expensive as well. And then finally I was allowed to go, even though they wanted me to go from the beginning. thought that was very smart, sneaky parenting. I found out later. And I'm feeling some corms that we're gonna keep separate and grow out and see if we can get some little babies as well.
Hey, he's there.
Here it is here. I really liked it. We did like climbing as well and abseiling and all sorts of cool stuff, canoeing. And that's when I started yoga. That was 2000 when I started. 2007, I decided I wanted a little bit more depth in the yoga practice to learn more. So I started the teacher training just for fun. I said I will never teach, but I want to know more and learn more about the body and about the mind and the breath and all the things. The spiritual path as well. Yes. My friend is Geert is playing with Maggie, so you can hear her meowing. And then in 2009, the yoga teacher training was 4 years, so I was halfway through. And the owner of the gym that I worked out at this point I was working out like 4 times a week in a gym with like weights and everything and bodybuilders. And he said, I am opening a second fitness gym and can you teach Pilates there, because we are gonna do group classes there as well. My gym was really small and didn't have group classes. Separating the 2 plants. Poppyje, ik heb het gedaan.
Kijk nou.
Oh, lief. And so that's when I started teaching, even though I didn't really want to. And teaching came very natural to me. So I've been doing that for a long time, 2009. And in 2017, I became a full-time yoga teacher and taught like 15 to 20 classes a week. 22 at the height of my classes, and then COVID happened, so then I wasn't able to teach any classes anymore. And also then I fell and hit my head and started teaching online and started teaching on TV. So that's the short of it. I forgot, I did a second teacher training. The yoga I started in is Drew yoga, which is very like Tai Chi like, very soft, accessible to everyone, and I wanted a little bit more power, a little bit more challenge. So I did a second teacher training with Bryony Smythe from LA and Dice Ida Klein. They at the time were still married. They're not anymore. They teach vinyasa with lots of handstands and arm balances. It's really fun, really challenging, really physical. So that was a really nice deepening and learning how to teach those types of classes, how to keep people safe in those poses and stuff, and challenge them to try new stuff that they might be scared of. There were a lot of dead roots on this one, but also quite a few happy ones. And now we can pot it a lot deeper into the pot. So I like to do that with my alocasia. If possible, I try to pot it down into the soil again with the whole stem so that it can root all over and grow the little corms out. And we have the little baby that's I'm gonna put that in a different space. If boyfriend doesn't want it in the same pot, I will put it somewhere else. Doesn't mean we have double the plants, but okay. The smaller one has the nicer variegation. But I think dinner is also ready now. So maybe I will leave this here for a little bit and then figure out how to repot this. And then boyfriend can help after dinner. How about that? And then I'll answer more questions, because there's still a lot more.
1 hour later.
Okay, dinner is done. We have to pot this up, which is quite a lot of work. And there's a huge mess here. Look at all this mess that I have to look for corms in. So boyfriend Geert is going to help.
Kleine bolletjes.
Yeah.
Van Sabrina.
Ja, kijk, ik heb er hier al 3.
Allemaal nieuwe Sabrina's.
Yeah. We got a few corms, but not that many. Wait, why does it not want to focus on them? Some are really thick though, so I think they're gonna grow nicely. Wow, I just noticed that this plant has rotted the stem before. Maybe that's why it was struggling. Maybe we should cut a piece off. See? It's a little bit snotty. Ooh! I cut it and it's still rotting on this side. Ah! There we go. Fresh cut.
I've got some fresh pot growth for you.
And I did not, thank you, I did not clean the shears every time I cut, so that was a bit dumb. It was rotting, poepetje, look. Rot, healthy. Now it's good, this baby one. But you still want them separate?
Yes.
Okay, let's check the big one as well. I feel like that's still okay, because the bulb at the bottom, There we go. It looks round and sturdy.
I'm very grateful to Geert for helping with this because this is a big plant and it just feels more scary to repot it. We didn't have any more bark, so we used some leca in this mix.
While my boyfriend waters that, we are going to repot. Are we? No. We still have the baby to do. Wait. This one. I think I'm gonna let that dry out a little bit longer. There's an airplane, which you can probably hear. So that the cut dries out. So this is actually good. We are gonna do what I said we're gonna do. Repotting the Schrijveriana ficus, which is in a very, very small pot. So I have a... Ooh, that's a lot bigger though. My friend is helping to mix some soil because it is now late and some of these plants are his. Oh, we also have to do the Strelitzia. Because check this out. This is my boyfriend's Strelitzia that we bought very small. I repotted it into a huge pot before compared to what it had. Already the roots are going crazy again. Is it wel niet?
That's a lot of roots.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna try and get the roots out in one piece. Actually, I would love to use this see-through bigger pot for one of the plants that I just planted in a non-see-through pot. But okay. Too late now.
Something was going on with my mic, that's why it's very soft, so you might hear more background in this bit. It gets better again later on.
I don't know if we'll be able to get this out properly. Whoa. Root noodles. My boyfriend is now... Oh, Geert is now finding plants in the garden that also need repotting. So instead of helping get less work, we are getting more work. Niet boven die, dat is nieuwe. Nee, nee, nee. Oude aarde altijd weg. Come here. Come next to me. Show them the plant with the little pot. Closer, 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 closer. Okay, now you can take it out and...
Prikking.
Spiky plant. Does it have nice roots? You can show them the roots if you want. Hold it close to the camera. Yes, nice. And then if you want, you can use the pot of this one.
I'm gonna put it in my little green pot.
Die is veel te groot.
I know.
No. This is good. This is a huge size up already. Okay, he never believes me when I give pot advice, but this is my sizing up advice. Show them which pot you would pick. Oh, the sun is coming out. Wait, what is this? That's the pot he wants to put it in. Compare, like from here to there. The sun is shining now.
Perfect match. I'm gonna clean it.
It's okay if it rots. What is this ficus doing? I'm taking this out of the pot and it looks like there's a egg underneath the soil. Do ficus grow egg under the soil? Or maybe it's a really fat root? It looks like it had some root issues. Or maybe these are roots that I don't really know much about. The sun is not ideal right now for this filming spot anymore. Apparently ficus grow really thick root-like structures. You're gonna give this a slightly bigger pot. Okay, this pot is falling apart a little bit. Wait, the sun is gone. 1 second and everything is messed up again. So this has a new pot. This one is gonna be really sad once my boyfriend is done with it, because look at the root system. But it's his plant, so he gets to decide. Oh, audio still going? Ha 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 ha. Maybe. I'm having some issues with my mic, so we will see. This one we're gonna put in this pot. I think that's pretty good. Can you still hear me? I think so. So, okay. And I was answering questions, but I completely forgot because of this boyfriend helping situation. Let's see. Dida asked about how I do my nails, and currently this is what they look like, so that's interesting. But I am thinking about maybe doing a video of how I do them and what helps me to keep them nice as long as possible. I'm no expert, clearly, because I just started last year with nail polish. So if you're interested in a video about that, let me know. I do love making the plants and polish series that I started, so I will continue doing that once I make these look nice again. Nelsie asks, tell us any of your parents' update after the fire if I don't miss any. So my parents are doing really well. Actually, they've been in a few more trouble. My mum broke her rib when she fell. Weird stuff. I'm like, be careful, you guys are old now. But they are, I don't know if the mic is working. I don't think my mic is working and I only have almost empty batteries left. So I will be answering the last few questions when I finally do the rest of the repot. Maybe it's a part 2. My boyfriend's plant has this many roots.
Nice.
So what pot are we gonna pot it in?
Very small one.
Very small one, yes. Good choice.
Yes, I know. Thank you. I know everything about pot sizes. Perfect.
You can't see it, but it's finished. We're gonna make the best of this light and the mic while it's still working. The smaller Alocasia zebrina, no, not the nice pot. Zebrina is not my, oh, the sun is gone again. Not my favorite plant, so it's not getting the best pot. Sorry, buddy. Okay, we're gonna put it in the small pot. And should we put it in semi-hydro? Since I put all my Alocasia in semi-hydro. What do we think? Someone had a question about that. Someone asked about soil. Soil? Where is it? I cannot find the question. Ah, here. Sometimes I see you using semi-hydro mix and a soil mix. Asks Noraiza. What is your preferred substrate and when did you get into semi-hydro? So I used to put everything in a chunky aeroid mix. 1/3 bark, 1/3 perlite, 1/3 organic potting soil. And then I realized some plants are not doing so well in that. I learned most of my Alocasia got root rot in it because it dried out too fast. So that's why I moved all my Alocasia at some point into semi-hydro. And I really like it because it's a little bit more stable for the Alocasia. So I have all my Alocasia in semi-hydro, apart from this one and a few older ones maybe. And then also I have quite a few Hoya in semi-hydro because it is predictable and look at this beautiful leaf. Easy to water and see when it needs watering. Especially in summer, I can leave a little layer of water and it won't rot the roots. It will just slowly soak up the water. I also realized recently that most of my Anthurium had root issues because of my mix. Because after a while, this mix of perlite and bark and soil gets very compact. And that rotted the roots of my Anthurium over winter. So I'm now, for the Anthurium, using a much more chunky mix with big pieces of pumice and it's very dusty. And instead of soil, I'm using tree fern fiber for that one. But that's all pretty expensive ingredients, so I don't want to use them for the big Monstera pots and Alocasia and stuff. So I do what I have and what I think is right in the moment, but it can also change again. So for this one, let's just put it in soil because that's what we have right here. Little layer at the bottom. Rotate until everything fits in. Add the soil. And then that's it. I am going to also pot up the corms, but I might put them in a little pot with some fluval, which have been, maybe I'll show you that as well. Wait. No, actually I've decided to make that a separate video because that would be a lot more work. I will make a whole video of how I grow Alocasia corms so I can show you all the steps. I put the outer pot around this one. I think it looks, oops, sorry, Mike. Looks really cute and I hope that this leaf is gonna continue to grow. I've decided to, oh, airplane, can you hear it? I've decided to leave this one for the next video because I currently don't have the right pot, also don't have the right substrate, and I'm running out of battery both on my camera and on my mic, which is a little bit stressful. So this one, you're gonna have to wait for the next repot with me, which I'm planning to do fairly quickly because this really needs it. Wait, I can show you. All the roots are coming out, and also I need to repot a bunch of cacti and succulents as well, so it might be part of that. To end, I wanted to answer one more question. That was, how is your melanochrysum doing, or is it dying yet? Which is such a fair question. But look, it is doing really well. The leaves look really nice, and it has just opened a new leaf. Beautiful. A little bit damaged because we are currently renovating the living room. There's new cabinets being built over here, so we had to move it a few times. But it is growing. It seems like since it settled on the moss pole properly, there is no more issues. And that's what one of my friends on Instagram also said. She's been helping me a lot with tips. She gave me the advice to put this on a moss pole and then put some moss around the base of the roots as well and put it in a high humidity environment. And all her tips have really worked out. Hers is like 3 times as long as this. So I am excited to see if I can get it there as well. So good news on the melanoma crisis. It is no longer in crisis. It's doing really well. And I do think, yeah, I'm trying to keep the moss poles moist enough throughout the warmer months, which is a little bit more work. Normally I check them once a week, and in winter they don't need watering every week, but in summer they sometimes need watering twice a week. So I'm keeping my eye on it. I think that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe below if you haven't already, and you can leave a nice comment, and I will see you in the next one. If you have any questions left, please leave them in the comments so that I can answer them in the next repot with me. And I'll have them all in one place so I can find them. If your question was not answered yet, I will definitely answer it in the next one. I couldn't do all of them at once. Thank you so much for participating and sending in your questions. I really enjoy the many different questions, from very personal to very plant technical. So thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye!